And welcome to the Menopause Sisterhood and the HRT conversation. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm going live, that you can all hear me. So I'm just going to check out on my mobile device as I wait for more people to join us. So I'm here. It is the set time that I said I was going to come and give this really interesting talk all about HRT. But before that, let me just make sure that you can all hear me, that everyone is okay. Yes, okay, that is good. Oops, you do not want to hear me. Okay, so I am here, we are here, you can all hear me, you can all see me. And if you have any comments, if there's anything you want to ask me while this is happening, please put it in the comments below this video and I will see it. If I can, I will respond in real time. And if I can't respond in real time, I will respond once this video is finished. So, welcome everybody. I'm so happy that you are joining me for this super interesting conversation. We're going to get straight to it. So let's start at the very beginning. What is HRT? HRT stands for hormone replacement therapy or hormone replacement treatment, and it is hormones that is given to a woman usually around menopause time that traditionally was to help her navigate 2 or 3 of the main menopause symptoms, and that is hot flashes, night sweats, and some mood swings. That is what it was traditionally given for. The rise of HRT happened around about the 1970s. It became a very, very popular treatment prescribed by doctors for women who were complaining of hot flashes and night sweats in the 70s, and really grew in popularity in the 80s and 90s. And by the 1990s, HRT was readily given by doctors for women that were complaining or in menopause of these hot flashes and night sweats. Those were traditionally the 2 main menopause symptoms that everyone knew about, was familiar with, that doctors recognized as being menopause related. All the other things that we talk about today, all the other symptoms that I talk about, the list of 50 different symptoms, physical symptoms, emotional symptoms, brain function symptoms, all those things we talk about today, they really were not recognized in the 80s and 90s, and even, you know, until quite recently as being menopause related. So doctors very readily prescribe this HRT as menopause, as treatment for these symptoms of night sweats, hot flashes, and also sometimes mood swings. Then something happened in 2002, and that is that there was this research that came out by the WHI, the Women's Health Institute, in 2002 that basically associated HRT as a menopause treatment with a higher risk of certain cancers. And when that research came out and those findings came out, literally doctors dropped HRT treatment like hotcakes. It became this very big anti-HRT movement where HRT and cancer became synonymous. It was partly breast cancer, partly other more female cancers like ovarian cancer. But basically this research came out and that was what it said. Welcome everyone who's watching. Let me just tell you that if you are watching me live, put any questions you have in the comments below this video and I will try and answer them in real time. And if I can't get to you in real time, I will come back and answer them after the video. So feel free to ask me anything as I'm talking, put it in the comments below. So we've arrived in 2002. And basically it wasn't just that HRT became persona non grata, that no doctor wanted to recommend HRT. It was also that women were now left without a menopause treatment option. There was no alternative that was prescribed by doctors. No doctors had other things that they could recommend for women to use to deal with the symptoms that still existed. They were still suffering from night sweats, hot flashes, mood swings, and the whole long list of other things that we know about. But at that time, it wasn't just that HRT became a no-go area, it was that there was no other solution. So women were basically left to suffer, they were left to figure it out themselves, and partly as a result of that became a desire and a search to look for other ways to manage and treat menopause symptoms. The hot flashes, the night sweats that were perceived or known as being the menopause symptoms, but also other things that slowly women became to understand and associate with menopause. Now, for all the bad press and for all the very difficult time that HRT went through, there also was a desire, because women were left with no other solution, to really examine the research. And very similarly to the MMR research that came out, many years ago by this Dr. Wakefield, I think his name was, and he was actually stricken off from the medical board. In a similar way, where MMR and autism were linked in this research that was then very largely debunked, the relationship between HRT and cancer that was proved in this WHI research of 2002 slowly began to unravel. And it slowly became very obvious that the research was not, or the results of the research were not as accurate as the media had portrayed them to be. Women that had been studied in this research that were taking HRT were 60 plus. They were post-menopausal women. They were not perimenopausal or menopausal women. And they had been taking HRT for 5 years or more. And it became clear that the results were not as clear-cut as had originally been thought. But the damage was already done. And so then began the work of rebranding HRT, debunking the HRT cancer relationship, and very importantly and significantly, proving why hormones were super important for women to help them navigate their menopause journey and help them navigate menopause symptoms and reduce that crazy fluctuation that we know perimenopause is all about, that crazy hormone fluctuation that leads to all these symptoms. And what has happened in the much more recent past is the long-term benefits of maintaining hormone levels. So we know that menopause is a natural hormonal fluctuating time. We know that menopause is the time when our progesterone drops, estrogen goes on a bit of a crazy roller coaster, eventually drops to new low levels, FSH rises. But our symptoms are triggered by this very dynamic and fluid fluctuating changes of progesterone and estrogen and the relationship between the two. And it has become more and more apparent that estrogen has super important long-term health protective benefits for women. And I'll talk about that in a little bit, but basically since 2002 until 2015, there was a very long campaign to really understand the findings in this research, to debunk a lot of them, to show that the findings were not based on good data, that the population group that was used was not a perimenopause or menopause population, and that there were other reasons for the cancer risks that they had found. And in 2015, a new research was released by NICE, the National Institute of Health and Care Excellence, that basically reframed and rebranded the whole HRT discussion. And that basically came out with very good, clear HRT guidelines, the benefits of HRT use as treatment for a range of different symptoms, and basically advised and recommended HRT to be used as treatment options by medical professionals for perimenopausal and menopause women, and really went to the root of the cancer question and really came out with much more detailed guidelines and explanations. So that was 2015. Today in 2021, we have really had 5 or 6 years of really understanding the HRT discussion. And there are 2 key people that I want to mention in the process and progress of this journey of HRT. And that is a doctor in England called Dr. Louise Newson, who is a very, very big proponent of using HRT. She is a menopause doctor. She is a menopause specialist. And you can go and look at all her stuff and read all her stuff, and she's on YouTube and she has a website, Dr. Louise Newson, and she really advocates HRT use and is really pushing for it to be recommended by doctors, and really busting the myth of the HRT cancer relationship, and saying why long-term estrogen use has very significant long-term health benefits for women. And a guy called Dr. Avrum Blooming, who wrote the book Estrogen Matters, and has also is also a doctor, and has also really written about the long-term health benefits of estrogen. So that is the history of HRT in a nutshell. But there are a few other things that I want to talk with you about today, and that is that traditionally, definitely in the 80s and 90s, HRT was very much a one-size-fits-all treatment. And today it is absolutely not. And that is part also of the criticism of the research. Today, HRT is very nuanced. And let me just put a very big disclaimer here. I am not saying that every single woman should take HRT. Every woman, though, should have the ability to have a discussion about whether HRT is relevant for her. Many women go to their doctors wanting to talk about HRT, and their doctors shut them off and say, HRT, it's not relevant, cancer risk, it's not really appropriate for you. I want every woman to know that HRT should be a discussion that you should be able to have with your doctor as a treatment option. It may end up that it is not relevant for you for a whole long list of reasons. Maybe if you have a high cancer risk in your family, maybe if you have other health reasons why HRT is not relevant for you, that is totally fine. And I'm not saying that every woman needs to go on HRT. There are lots of ways to treat and manage menopause symptoms. And as you all know, I am a very big proponent of looking at an integrative approach, looking at stress, nutrition, sleep, movement, work-life balance, a really deep integrated lifestyle approach, and using yoga as the basis, as the core, to help you manage and navigate your menopause symptoms. But HRT definitely is one option, and it is an option that works for many women, and it is an option that you should be able to discuss with your doctor without it being a no-go zone. So today, menopause HRT treatment for menopause is not a one-size-fits-all. There are lots of different ways to do it. You can have different hormone combinations. The 3 hormones we're looking at is estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And you can get those in different combinations, in different amounts, in different quantities. You can have continuous HRT, where you take a medication, a pill, every single day. You can have it cyclical, that allows you in perimenopause to have a menstrual bleed. You can have pellets. You can have all pellets that are inserted underneath your skin. You can have a pill. You can have a cream. You can have localized HRT treatment, for example, just in the vagina if you are suffering from vaginal dryness. There are lots of different ways to take HRT treatment today. It is not a one-size-fits-all. So please be aware that when you go to the doctor, there are lots of options available for you, and you should be aware of those. And the other thing I want to say is that you can also combine HRT with other methods or other modes of menopause treatment. You can have HRT and do lifestyle changes, because those lifestyle changes are going to last you in the long term once you're in postmenopause. You can have HRT and take supplements, extra magnesium, extra things to help support your body, because those are going to help support you in the long term and post-menopause. Traditionally, HRT should be a time-limited treatment. There are doctors, for example, like Dr. Louise Newson, who advocates taking HRT in some form or other for the rest of your life. But we don't just want to rely on HRT, because as we enter post-menopause, and again, as you come through menopause and you reduce potentially your HRT, you want to have in place lifestyle changes that can support you in the long term. Two things I want to mention. If you go to your doctor and you get prescribed HRT, you should never be told, I'll see you in 2 years or I'll see you in 5 years. You should be monitored, especially at the beginning. You want to see your doctor in 3 months' time, in 6 months' time, in 12 months' time. Your doctor should be monitoring you and seeing how you respond, because there may need to be tweaks or changes made to what you received. So never accept the doctor giving you an HRT dosage and then say, I'll see you in a few years' time. Come back to me, you know, when you want to refill, or come back to me later on. You want to make sure that you are monitored to make sure that the dosage you have received is appropriate for you, it's treating your menopause symptoms, and that you are responding well. So you'd absolutely want a doctor who is going to tell you to come back for follow-up within 3, 6, 12 months. And the other thing is I want to bring up is that, as I said, HRT is not a one-size-fits-all. There are also other types of HRT. There are bioidentical HRT, there are body-identical HRT, and as bioidentical, there are also compound bioidentical HRT. I'm not going to go into that whole discussion now. I'm going to save that for a later time when we really delve deep. But again, we need to be talking the language of HRT. We need to be exploring what is appropriate for us. We need to be thinking about what type of HRT we want, and we need to be talking to practitioners and professionals who understand the discussion, who are able to have the discussion with you, because it is a discussion that is valid and warranted. And as I said, we want to also look into the long-term strategies that we can put in place to make sure that we are balancing our hormones. And this is how I will end. The whole thing of menopause is hormonal imbalance. But as we hit post-menopause, our hormones readjust and reassess to a new hormonal level. And that new hormonal level will be with us until the day we die. But we still want to be able to support our bodies. We still want to be able to have good strategies in place, good lifestyle changes in place, eating for where our body is now, making sure that we have a good work-life balance, that we are sleeping right, that our stress, that we are really monitoring our stress. If we have not got these things in place during perimenopause and menopause, post-menopause will be a much harder slog. But we will not be able to navigate post-menopause with our new hormonal levels if we have not addressed our cortisol, our insulin, our other hormonal balance, our stress, what we're eating, how we're navigating, making time for ourselves, the really stepping into that next stage of life as hormonally balanced, as hormonally rich, as emotionally and physically balanced as possible. So we want to make sure that we are doing all the things now, and that we have these strategies in place for long term. There are natural ways to boost our estrogen level. There are natural ways to balance our hormones, which is a lot of the work that I do. But sometimes we need an extra boost, and sometimes we may only need an extra boost for a few years. So sometimes we may only be, taking HRT for a short amount of time. But I hope this has been really helpful to you in understanding that the reasons why HRT became such a no-go area, why so many people felt that HRT was dangerous for them, that HRT should be a discussion, the benefits of HRT to navigate and manage your menopause symptoms, the importance of having some levels of estrogen in our body that our body may not be naturally creating because of, you know, a whole bunch of reasons of things going on in our body. Excess stress can totally result in postmenopause not having any natural estrogen levels, which should be there. How and why we need to keep our estrogen levels up to some base level to really help support us. Maybe I didn't talk about that enough. The long-term benefits of estrogen. Long-term benefits of estrogen are profound. They support our bone density, prevent osteoporosis, are very important for cardiovascular prevention and support, mental health. There are, you know, research coming out about the really big impacts of estrogen on our brain function, short-term memory loss, and triggers for dementia and Alzheimer's. Vasomotor protection, those are the blood vessel protections. Really important for joint pain, muscle mass, all these different things. Anti-inflammatory, estrogen has big anti-inflammatory support. So when our estrogen drops, all these health implications or health challenges are just waiting to appear. And if our estrogen falls really to very low levels, it's very difficult for us to maintain good health and well-being, which is why HRT may be what you need, or you may be able to boost your estrogen levels in other ways. But again, it should be a discussion that you should have as a pathway for helping you navigate this time. I think I've covered most of what I wanted to say. Again, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. Please put them below this video. And if I can't answer you now live, I see that I have a hello from a participant. Hi, Imna, so nice to see you. If you're watching this, not in real time, if you're watching this later on in your own free time and you've got questions, pop them in the comments and I promise I will look back and I will answer them. But I hope this has been helpful and informative, and I hope that you have understood that this is a discussion that you should and can be having with your medical practitioners, with your menopause specialist, with myself. And again, I look forward to supporting you on your menopause journey. Have a fantastic day. See you all very soon.